After nearly 2,000 years since Hinduism first arrived, Bali is now the last Hindu stronghold of Indonesia. The process of Islamization began less than 500 years ago. Many of the Hindus of Java fled to Bali to escape the Muslim oppression, which is why less than 2% of Indonesians are Hindu, but more than 83% of people in Bali are Hindu. However, after centuries of oppression, the followers of Sanatana Dharma achieved official recognition by the Indonesian state in 1962. Hindu temples in India and Sri Lanka all look like this, with big stacks on top. But Balinese temples, known as puras, are different. They are enclosures with open-air areas for worship. The compounds are all connected with beautifully decorated gates, and each contains thatched shrines, meru, which means towers, and bale, pavilions. These temples in the sacred monkey forest date to the 14th century. The sacred hierarchy is reflected in the organisation of the temples, which have an outer zone, in which I was able to film, then a middle zone, with the pavilions, and finally the most sacred area, Uttama Mandala, with a shrine to the highest god, Asintya, and a multi-tiered tower. Goa Gaja was built in Ubud in the 9th century, probably as a sanctuary for meditation. It was lost to the jungle for centuries until the Dutch rediscovered it in 1923. The monstrous entrance carved directly into the cave was probably intended to ward off evil. Inside the cave, there is an idol for Ganesh, and another for Shiva. Outside, these charming fountains and pool are used in prayer rituals by visitors, but were only discovered in the 50s. These women are preparing offerings. The Balinese Hindus create these daily offerings called kanangsari for temples, shops, and other establishments. The ingredients reflect the three gods of the Trimurti. Shiva is symbolized by lime, Vishnu by betel nut, and Brahma by gambir. In the 16th century, a Brahmin from Java called Niratha built 7 special sea temples, Pura Segara, around Bali to honour the gods of the sea and protect the land from evil. Together, they form a spiritual chain around the island. One of these is Tanah Lot, which was built on an island which is only accessible at low tide. Next to the island there is a cave in which venomous banded crate sea snakes are kept, and they are believed to guard the temple from evil spirits. It's good luck to touch them. The entire temple is supposed to be protected by a giant snake, which was created from Niratha's sash when he made the temple. There is also a sacred spring at the island, at which pilgrims pay for blessings. Another of the sea temples is Uluwatu temple, which was actually built in the 11th century, and is dedicated to the Indonesian supreme god, Asintya, in his manifestation as the Aryan god, Rudra. Balinese Hinduism is officially monotheistic, in accordance with compulsory Indonesian state philosophy of Pancasila. However, while the chief god of India is known as Brahma, Balinese Hindus, like Neoplatonists in the West, see the one god as unknowable, so they refer to him with the Sanskrit name Asintya, unthinkable, or he who cannot be imagined. Despite the name, he is depicted in art like a sun god surrounded by flames. His appointment of supreme god in the 16th century was most likely in response to the Islamic invaders who were all over Indonesia at the time. Lukat Ni, or flame war, is a centuries-old tradition resembling an Indian rite to Agni, the fire god, and it falls on the new moon of the Balinese 9th month. The men thrash each other with flaming coconut leaves in order to purify themselves and maintain the balance between man and nature. The Ramayana is an Indian epic, like the Greek Iliad, written about 2,500 years ago, but which may be based on a much older Aryan epic. It is quintessentially Indian, set in India and Sri Lanka, and featuring a battle between monkeys and demons called Rakshasas. Sometime around 870 AD, a new version was written in Indonesia called KAKAWIN Ramayana, which became hugely popular and prominent in Balinese Hinduism. It is retold in a ballet form called Sendratari Ramayana. This was normally accompanied by the haunting sounds of traditional Balinese wooden xylophones, but in the 1930s, a German man introduced the vocal accompaniment called Kechak into the ballet. It is based on the noises of monkeys and was originally used for meditative trances. You can see it performed here at sunset at the Uluwatu temple. I actually saw two versions of the Ramayana ballet in Bali, and both were very moving. I prefer the version without Kechak though. The heroic figures of Rama and Hanuman represent two manifestations of the masculine ideal. Rama is an aristocratic ruler, an embodiment of the supreme being, utterly pure and pious, while Hanuman, the monkey, embodies strength and heroic courage, yet also devotion to Lord Rama. There is no evidence for a cult of Hanuman in ancient Vedic India, actually. But this divine heroic figure may be very old and have had the monkey attributes imposed onto him in the medieval period, after which he became hugely popular as a god in India, Indonesia, and elsewhere in Asia. It's hard not to love him when you know the beautiful story. Rama is living in exile with his wife Sita and brother Lakshmana. Sita sees a beautiful golden deer, and Rama goes to catch it. Lakshmana hears a cry for help and leaves Sita alone, at which point the demon king RAVANA of Lanka tries to kidnap her, but she is protected by a magic circle, so he retreats. Then Ravana reappears in the form of an old man seeking shelter, and deceives Sita, then kidnaps her. On his way to Sri Lanka, Ravana is attacked by the bird god Garuda, vehicle of Vishnu. But Garuda is defeated. However, he lives to tell Rama what happened to Sita. Rama then consults the Red Monkey King Sugriva to help him, and they select the powerful white monkey Hanuman as a champion to go ahead to Lanka. Hanuman meets Sita and says Rama is coming to help her. But Hanuman is captured by the demonic Rakshasas. However, Hanuman escapes and burns down much of Sri Lanka before flying away. Finally, there is a huge war between the monkeys and the Rakshasas of Lanka. The result is that Rama kills Ravana with his bow. Then Hanuman rides the body of the defeated king and waves his crown aloft in victory. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in Hinduism and other Indo-European traditions, then check out some of my other videos and subscribe to Survive the Jive. I depend on the generous donations of patrons, so please help this channel via Patreon or PayPal. There are links for these in the description. Thanks again.